in my response. I'm like, first of all, it's not transphobic. It's sexist. Get your shit right. Okay? You know, second off, I've never posted anything that was transphobic or anything about transgender people at all. Go back through my Facebook.
Yeah.
Said, and while you're going back through my Facebook, go ahead and look up all the posts that I have that are pro LGBTQ all through.
Right.
You know, and then and finally, if you don't like it, just unfriend me and shut the fuck up. Because I don't need.
I mean, that's all.
Shit.
That's all it needed to be. It's just fucking. You didn't even need to do that. You just unfriend that idiot and move on with your day. So you're not going to teach him anything, you know.
So the
plot thickens.
So the plot thickens. This is when shit gets deep. Mm-hmm. Okay. So she unfriends me. She takes a screenshot of that I haven't got to see you naked thing.
Yeah.
Puts it on Facebook, and she's like, well, I'm sick of people treating me like this, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So it had the date on it.
Yeah.
And there was a comic that's not in town anymore. So she had posted, I'm blocked, I can't see any of it.
Yeah.
So basically, she took that, posted it, and he was like, hey, why is this a year old?
Oh, he asked the question.
Yeah.
He's like, you did a little investigation.
Yeah, he's like, why is this a year old? What's up? And then, like, the shit just
fucking
starts. So I still have never seen the thing.
Have you seen that person since?
No. They
ever
live.
come- they
I
ever
wish
come
they
back
were
to
still in town.
They ever come back?
No, because my wife, she was like, where's this bitch at? I wish she'd come back into town.
Yeah.
I wish.
Because your wife would just
Oh, fuck.
And your wife's
It'd be nothing
your
better.
wife's a Latino lady.
Yeah. There'd be nothing better than to watch my wife grab whatever hair is on the top of this bitch's head and just watch her start beating the fuck out of her.
Would that turn you on?
Oh.
Just go home.
Like,
and
no,
you
what
just
would
go home
really
and
turn me
gorilla
on
fuck your wife.
is the male feminist pussy that would try to stop her.
Oh, right.
That I could fuck up.
There you go.
At that point. The one that grabbed my wife.
His
that I
fucking
could just,
eyes were so big. He saw that guy's
that
face.
I could just mount.
I thought it was about to be a meal.
That I could just hip toss and mount and pound out. Just
that sounds so sexual.
Bang.
That sounds
just watching
really,
my wife
really
the whole
sexual.
time because I'd probably be a lot bigger than this dude, so I could just hold him right in one spot. Like, bang, 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 and just watch my wife there just pulling it bed. What'd you say about my husband, bitch? What'd you say? Say the shit again, bitch. I'm here. Say the shit again.
This sounds like
you have the
this
best
sounds like
fantasies.
this sounds like a way better fantasy than that Jedi one that you were talking about earlier. Just saying.
Yeah. I've my wife got in lots and lots of fights before we met. So
That's
I've never
awesome.
really gotten
Has she ever
to see her.
been? Has she ever been to Tent City?
No.
No, she went to jail for a fight.
No.
I went to jail for a fight once, and just hi guys. I knew it was a small town. You know everybody.
Right.
It's not a big deal.
Was it like one of the things where they'll like let you out of the cell to go to the bathroom?
Oh, pretty much. Yeah. Like, it's just,
I'm just gonna hang the keys up here, boys. If any of y'all need to use the bathroom, just
I had a mugshot from this jail that was this.
Yeah.
Like the Steve-O pose from his back tattoo.
Good.
Wow. Yeah.
I always like people that have the wherewithal to give like a thumbs up in their mugshot or like a big smile.
Oh, dude, I was at I have two.
Like, this is normal for me.
I've had two mugshots, and they're both very like exuberant.
My dad had a friend that got arrested. I was probably about 12 or 13. Got arrested, and she was facing like 30 years on a federal drug charge.
Jesus Christ.
And she still did the big smile. I was like, yeah.
God.
Like this isn't like I'll be out in a couple days.
What a beast!
You know.
Oh wow.
She pled down and got out relatively
Still, though.
quick, but still to have that big old smile.
No shit.
30-year
Oh.
drug charge. What's a 30-year? What is that? What is that a sentence from?
Transporting, they were.
Transported. What kind?
It was coke.
Ooh.
Yeah, there was one. The one. There was like a group of 3 friends. The one that really got hammered is still in.
Really?
Yeah, he'll probably die in there.
Was your dad? Your dad wasn't running the coke with him though.
Yeah. Well, my dad wound up getting when I was about 13. He wound up doing about 5 years for conspiracy because another dude snitched on him.
What the fuck?
shit.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
5
fuck-
years for
to,
fucking conspiracy?
to tell you what bullshit this is. So there was this dude
Conspiracy to do what?
to sell.
To say, okay.
So here's how this
I
worked.
thought it was
okay?
to fake the moon landing.
So one snitch, so the first snitch comes up to my dad and he's like, "Hey, want to buy some coke?" My dad's like, "Not buying coke. Not interested."
Yeah.
So he hits him up a few times. Like, "Hey, you want to buy some coke? You want to buy some coke?"
He's like, no, man.
So then they have another snitch come up and he's like, "Hey, I'm looking to sell some coke. You know anybody who's selling? You know anybody who's selling?"
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
God.
So my dad's like, "Yeah, I do." So this dude, this first snitch, had like snitched on everybody that he could. I mean, basically that's how it works if you're a
Yeah,
snitch.
right.
When you quit, when you can't give anybody else up, then it's time for you to do your sentence. Well, he was trying to like press things out. And so snitch 1 got snitch dad to sell the coke to snitch 2, and then the guy was like my dad's friend. He was like, "Hey, thanks a lot for hooking that up. Here's a hundo. Appreciate it." So then the next morning when my dad goes to work, the DEA pulled him over at Quick Trip, and he had the marked $100 bill on him, and that gets you 5 years in the United States of America.
That is-
Damn.
that is
5 years.
fucking-
Did he just
Conspiracy
hook it
to sell.
up? Like he just put him in touch with somebody.
Yep.
He put
5-year mandatory sentence.
5 years?
And he didn't snitch, so he wound
Oh,
up doing
no.
about 5
Listen,
and
you
a quarter, or 4
motherfuckers
and a quarter.
on Facebook. You fucking ask me on Facebook again to get weed for you or find somebody who can get you something, and I'm going to fucking murder you. I don't need
dude.
5 years, you asshole.
Like, man,
Do
like,
it in person. you
Yeah,
fuck.
if you've never studied mandatory minimum sentencing, it's literally like the worst thing.
Oh, mandatory minimums are one of the worst, most terrible things. It's
They had a thing on Vice, right? Where like they had Obama go and visit some
Yeah,
dudes
yeah.
in jail.
Yeah.
So I mean, Vice by and large, I think is piece of shit, but they hit on good topics,
Right.
And they had a dude in there, right? Who's I think he was doing 35 or he was doing 15 years. A guy on the outside said that he hooked up a drug deal with him. So the federal government comes to him. He goes, "Okay, look, here's the deal." He goes, "We've got you on conspiracy because this dude you don't know says you did it. So we either go to trial and we go for life, or you plead out to 30 years right now."
Oh, they just railroaded the fuck out of
Dude
him.
pleaded out to 30 years.
Well, what else
So
would
he's-
you do?
Right. And he's just like, at least I'll have, I might live a day of freedom in my life. Or I could
brutal.
fight it, and
Dude,
they would
those-
just railroad me into.
That just like I watch all that shit all the time. Like I watch all the lockup shows and everything because it's just fascinating to me because it's just one decision, one choice, one thing could happen.
Well,
Just
it's
one
crazy.
little thing.
It's crazy what happens from that one choice. Because I worked with a guy one time who, I was helping with a case, and he had drug charges from the '80s that he did a couple years in prison for.
Okay.
And so then he had felonies on his record, and then they were like 10 years old. He needed money, so. Yeah, please. He needed money, so he went to a pawn shop. His mom gave him a gun to take to a pawn shop to pawn so he could get $80 so that he could drive from into a town he was going to work in at the mines to do all this fabrication shit for them so that he could fucking survive and live and make a living. And the pawn shop, checked his background and called the fucking cops. And then all of a sudden, he's facing 5 years of prison. And we're sitting there trying to figure out, what the fuck we're going to do for him. And you start adding up all his factors into the mandatory minimum sentencing. And it's like, listen, if we're lucky, the least you're going to get is 3 years. And if we're unlucky, you're going to get 10 years because you pawned that gun.
Yeah.
Just getting $80. Not even fucking thinking. Just
Right.
stupid. But there's no room. There's no room for that kind of error anywhere.
Well,
It's
and
insane.
I had read a study that was on Facebook. I think it was from the New York Times, if I'm not correct, but something like the average
both great
American
sources.
commits like 2 felonies a week.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely.
Guaranteed.
You know, so if you
guarantee I've
just
committed a
wind
felony
up
this
getting
week.
pinched
Yeah.
on one of these, then yeah, your whole all those. I mean, all of those. I watch documentaries like that all
I
the time.
definitely committed
and-
a felony today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what it is, but I definitely did it.
Well, I mean, you guys have seen the Making the Murderer.
Yeah.
And there's that quote from his lawyer that says, you know, you can go your whole life and make sure you don't commit a crime, but you can't go your whole life and make sure you're not accused of one.
Yeah, true.
yeah,
Definitely. Shit, someone could just fucking be like, that's the guy, and you're not the guy. Eyewitness. What about like have you ever heard how just a completely unreliable eyewitness testimony is?
No, yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
honestly, and even so, like I do like claim adjustment for auto claims, and just the sheer, like I don't, because you never know how much people are lying to you or anything, and there's always just such a sheer divergence of fact. Like I mean, you talk to like 4 people involved, and they've all got like kind of a different version, you know, like they saw different things, they remember different things, or maybe they just didn't. You know, and it was suggestion after the fact. You don't fucking know. Eyewitness testimony is just some of the fucking biggest garbage ever.
I witnessed an accident one time while I was at work, and I was working at Home Depot, and we were out back, and a guy was driving a forklift, and he drove some drywall in, and basically you couldn't see. There was blocks around blocking him, and he put the drywall in. He backed up. Well, there was a car that was driving behind the store, and he backed up and he hit the car with the forklift while it was moving.
Yeah.
So I was standing next to the forklift. He backed up. He hit the car. The guy drove over. I didn't go talk to the guy. One of the managers that was there did. And then I went in and signed my witness statement.
Right.
And when the insurance adjuster called me up, like he was like, well, was he drunk? I don't know. Did he look drunk? I don't know. I didn't look at him. Well, from what did you see? Did he look like he was stumbling or something? Like a total
Yeah.
like coercion. I'm like, look, here's what I saw.
Leading questions.
Yeah. He backed up. He hit the car. Well, how fast was it moving?
I mean, literally,
Pretty good clip.
Depending on how you ask people things, you can get people to say whatever you want them to.
Yeah.
Like if you have the mindset to do that, like you can trick people into saying what you want them to say. Definitely.
Oh yeah, most people. It's very easy.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
because also you think of the craziest fucking person you know. They have a perspective that they think is completely sane, and they tell you a story, and it's completely sane to them, and you look at it and you're like, yeah.
You ever met Stuart Mazzeo?
No, I don't think so.
Remember Mazzeo?
Was that the little short one?
Little
that
short
would just
guy that would just
scream and
scream.
shit? Yeah.
He's a poor soul. He just had a heart attack actually. So
It took him this long?
yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Shout out to Stu.
I would have
He's
thought
still
he would have had
kicking. He
about...
walked through it. He walked through it like a champ. He was out drinking that day.
After having a heart attack?
After having a heart attack,
Well,
he's at the bar
he's
drinking.
not
If you want to
he's
know...
not gonna
He
be
was
around much
at the
longer.
bar drinking, guys.
If you ever want to know why I'm an atheist, there's one of the reasons right there.
Oh yeah, that guy's still
Just
alive.
God's plan. Kids, there's a kid somewhere in the world died of cancer today.
Yeah.
And that fucker's been
And
here
that-
like
and-
60 years.
And he got back up from a heart attack
yeah,
and
and he
kept
just
walking.
got back up, started walking.
Walked back to his fucking.
I refuse to learn any lessons.
So he could just continue to do nothing positive for the world.
Right, absolutely.
What was great is he goes like, yeah, so I'm not going to be doing like many of my, like the sets the way I used to, you know, where I yell, like, because he would scream, like it was scary the way how hard he would scream. He would just go off, like, and for no reason. It wasn't like. Yeah, there's maybe a couple funny things that he's ever said, but like it was kind of
Ever in the history of
Ever.
him.
ever. But he
This
said I'm
is
not
like-
gonna. He said I'm not gonna be able to do that. And then I go, can you just, you know, I don't care if you ever scream or not, Steve. Could you just stop saying the N-word a bunch during your set
Oh,
for no
Jesus
reason?
Christ.
Because that'd be cool. And he's like, well, there's a reason. And I was just like, I don't care what it is. It's not good
What?
enough.
I mean, I would like to hear his reason.
It was like I grew up with this kid named Tony Jackson or something like that. It was like, listen, Tony ain't fucking here. Those people don't know Tony, and those people don't know Tony's cool with you saying the word. So, you know, don't fucking say it.
Do you remember-
Public place, please?
Oh, I can't remember his last name. His first name's Stu. It's an older dude. He had like cerebral palsy or something like that. He was all fucked up. I think he's in a wheelchair now.
Oh, I don't know then.
And he was an older comic when I had first started. He was doing it, and we were it was at the Hidden House.
I missed that spot.
I know, I missed the
I
Hidden
went
House.
up there. I went up there a few times. Actually, fun. Not to derail, but
No, go right
did,
ahead.
I did karaoke at Monkey Pants last night. I missed the stage so bad.
How did you get all the way to fucking Monkey Bands?
Don't worry about it.
Okay, all right.
Anyway,
Oh, you
sorry.
buddy.
So Stu, so I'm hosting, and there's 4 black dudes in the front row, and Stu gets up and drops an N-bomb.
Ugh.
Couple of them.
Couple.
Oh,
of them.
Jesus.
Hard R or an A?
I can't remember.
Stu is an old
Point.
guy. It's got to be an R.
Point
It's
is,
probably one of those where it's so close that you can't.
point is that he's an old cripple,
Yeah.
Right.
and they're not going to whip his ass.
No, they didn't. Did they?
No, so he hobbles down off the stage, and I'm hosting. I walk up, and I looked at all 4 of them. I said, if one of you would walk back right now and punch him as hard as you could in his face, he'd never say it anymore. Like he'd learn his lesson.
That's
if
so real,
one of
though.
you
Go
just
beat the
walked up,
fuck out of a
just
guy.
one tooting, just that little hook to get his jaw up, and then just bang and just hit him.
See, I can't.
And
Even an open-handed slap.
Yeah.
Just like
Just one of those boss rootin' like palm
Yeah, just
strikes that he used to do in
bang.
pancreation, where he'd like bend his hand backwards
Yeah.
and turn his palm into a fist. He just hit you with the stump of his fucking arm.
Just bang. I told him, I was like, if one of you would go over there and punch him, he wouldn't say it anymore.
That's actually really like. I mean,
And-
that's good advice.
And I
That's
told him,
great
and I
advice.
know that the shortest, whitest cop in the Phoenix Police Department's going to be the one that shows up.
yeah.
And he's going to put you in handcuffs, and he's going to stand there and go, you think you're a real big man for hitting a cripple, don't you?
Yeah.
I swear to God, if I didn't have this badge on right now, I'd kick your ass for doing what you did here. And I know that it's going to frustrate you, but you will have helped society. Because just by you punching that old cripple and going and pleading out to whatever assault you had
Yeah.
to do and, community service, whatever.
You know,
Like, but if
community
somebody
service for
would just
assault
hit him
isn't grown
once,
up anymore,
he'd learn not to do it. And that's the same thing with Steve. He gets off because he's short and insane. And
Yeah.
But that's the other thing is that crazy white people scare black people.
Crazy white people are really scary. That guy, so this guy, you want to know another story about this guy? This guy's
Sure.
insane. He showed me the scars. He apparently was charged with some crime. I don't know what the crime was, but he was in open court.
Okay.
And he didn't want to be there anymore. So he took the fucking like spiral of like a notebook, like the metal spiral fucking thing.
Yeah.
And he took it out and he opened his wrist up. Like he fucking slashed his wrist with the metal from the notebook
Listen,
in open courtroom.
I think about doing that every day at work, so I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how impressive that actually
That's
is.
pretty fucking impressive.
He's braver than you are.
He is much
He is
braver than
way
me.
braver.
But as far as
He has
the
a lot-
idea goes,
yeah.
it's
He has a lot more balls than you do, I'll tell you that much.
he does. He does. He's much more courageous.
You would need way more than the spiral of a notebook too. You got
It's
some
nice.
shallow
It's
veins.
soft in here. I could totally get it in there.
Need at least a letter opener
Please.
with a ship on it. You know.
I can break my computer screen and just use that plastic. I think that would
Fuck, dude, that's some gnarly shit. I broke the computer screen on. That's why we have this monstrosity set up. I had to take it off and everything. It was awful. I need a new computer. Someone sponsor Meat Sweats, the podcast, so that Bill can afford a new computer. Thanks.
I saw that people are giving Kylie Jenner money so that
Can
she
you
can
believe
become
that
the
fucking
first
shit?
youngest billionaire. Yeah.
But no, it's all about the self-made. She's the first youngest self-made. That's
So
like-
people are just donating your money.
yeah.
I don't know how much it's got so far. But
I'm so mad.
there's a
I've
Kickstarter
never.
project.
You guys like. We might have to stop right now. I'm so
bitch! Somebody's donating money to that dude, son of a bitch! Hit pause!
fucking fair. It's not fair. Why? Why is this happening? Why do things like this happen? Why do I have to fucking struggle and go to work in a job that makes me want to fucking murder myself?
But the thing is 10,
Why?
10 years ago when it was the older three,
Yeah.
I thought to myself, how could somebody become as rich as these three and be any less talented? I mean, how
I know,
would
very
that
accurate.
be possible?
They really
to come along and
There's a
be,
good economy of talent to pay out, like
sure as shit. I waited 10 years and it happened.
oh yeah, I mean,
She's even dumber, less interesting to listen to.
what does she talk? What does she sound like? What does her voice sound like?
I've never
You've
once
ever heard her talk?
Just-
Have you ever heard her talk?
Just dumb, spaced out, just like
totally.
And now she's doing even
Valley,
less than she's not even showing off her ass. She's not even
Well, she's a mom now.
yeah, she's not even showing her ass. All she's
How
doing
old is Kylie Jenner?
all she's doing is saying send me
1920.
money.
She's a mom at 1920.
You know,
Jeez.
dude, that one rapper was pounding her when she was like 16.
Really?
Yeah,
Good for him.
yeah.
Fucking weirdo.
You know, if their mom, if the mom will let you.
That's so gross. That's so gross. How could that guy do that though? Like, there's something wrong with that motherfucker.
Oh, they used to give away young brides in the cult all the time.
Yeah.
15 years old was not too young to get married and start popping out kids.
Yeah.
I can
You know
tell
he was in a cult,
several,
right?
Several.
Yeah, Royer is just over the moon fascinated.
No,
by
he
that.
loves
He
it.
keeps,
He loves it.
He keeps being like, we need to have this conversation. And I'm
We need
like,
to have-
like, we're right here. Let's have this
We
conversation.
need to
I'm like,
just
Chris, ask me.
what he's asking is he wants to be on the podcast and he wants to just I honestly I could turn around and
I
just
mean,
like play Sudoku.
I
Like,
would
you
just
guys will just talk.
if he wants. It's like I keep being like, let's just sit and have it. Like I'll tell you, ask me whatever questions, and I'll just tell you whatever fucking answers there are. Like,
But yeah,
there.
but he was in one. Yeah, lots of people were.
Yeah, there's a lot
But
of
I mean,
people
like,
involved.
he's real. He exists. I'm like, a lot of them do.
Most of them, if they get out, they're real.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it's just like I don't know. I feel like a lot of people just even if they were in one, never are as open about it as Matt is. Like, or if they are, they only are in like a documentary type of
Well,
setting.
I mean,
like, they're not open like
I
it.
think there's plenty of people who are. A lot of people are doing it for different reasons. I don't necessarily give a shit anymore, but I'm also not willing to just shut up and pretend like this shit didn't happen. You know what I mean? I don't have something where it's like I'm out to get them and fucking bring them down and destroy them. At the same time, it's just like I'm gonna live my life, and this was 25 fucking years of my life, so. It's interesting, and not a lot of people had to live that way. So if you want to know something about it,
you
here's
got
something
out when
about
you
it.
were 25,
I got out when I was 28.
28.
Yeah.
Just the short story.
That's the short story. There's a much longer story. Like, I was super fucked up because I spent 25 years in a fucking cult.
No,
And I got,
right.
I left a cult because I couldn't be there anymore because I wasn't a fucking good person to be around. It's the
It
reason
ruins
why
you.
I'm gone.
It literally ruins you.
Well, no, I mean that's one of the.
but thank God it did because when he got out, I mean, you got your family out too.
Oh, yeah, I got my family out. I got my kids out. And my sister's parents, like, they're all out now. But it was like, it's years of fucking therapy and trying to figure out how to be whatever the fuck we're supposed to be. You know what I mean? And trying to figure out, like, all right, what of this 25, 30 years of experience in my life do I take on into, the next iteration of my life and, like, figure out how to just do normal, weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been fascinated by the idea of somebody could get me into a cult.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I mean,
that's the scariest part of it. For
well,
me.
I mean, it's the thing. It's so I mean, I don't, maybe we'll do a whole another episode about your entire cult, but like I look at Scientology,
Right.
Okay.
and Scientology. I mean, the L. Ron Hubbard was a fucking genius,
Right.
because I mean, he designed that to where as I listen to people, a pretty reasonable person could fall into that pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, the hook gets you, pretty fast.
Right.
But then, like, when they start delving into all the other shit, like all the fantastical, whimsical shit,
Well,
how do they not lose?
well,
like,
I mean, Leah Remini. I mean, I watch a lot of her stuff.
Yeah.
And she talks about how, when people, when they finally put the hook in that. Like, you are so embarrassed. I mean, if anybody's listening, basically, there's a galactic warlord,
Right.
That that
Xenu is
Xenu
crashed a fucking airplane.
crashed an
into a
airplane,
fucking volcano. and-
Which the other thing is the guy that invented the religions of science fiction writer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
my,
I don't know.
My dad had like a bunch of like nickel store sci-fi books, like when he died. Like, I mean, a fucking bookshelf that took up the size of like this wall. and I shit you not, 30 L. Ron Hubbard books on it.
The thing that I've always wondered is if, like, Stephen King came out and told everybody that there was a monster in his closet that had all the answers, how many people would just be like, we got to talk to this monster? How many people would be like, this guy's obviously making this fucking shit up?
Couple.
But she talks about how when they finally put that hook in you that, like, this is what it's really about, at that point, you've spent 6 figures easily of your own money.
Yep.
You've probably told, friends, loved ones, your kids, all this stuff. It is just so embarrassing.
Well, how do they?
Well, the other thing they do is when you do those canning sessions, they write down every fucking thing that you say.
They get dirt on you.
They get all your dirt and they hold it against you.
And that's a common practice.
Did you see the Going Clear documentary?
Yes.
When I watched the Going Clear documentary for the first time, I sat there and I started tearing up like halfway through because it was way too fucking familiar.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know much about Scientology before that. And I watched it, but I watched like the tactics that were used from the higher ups down.
Yeah.
And just different shit.
The mechanics are similar.
Very similar. Very similar. Like, I started working construction when I was 12 years old. Like, we had a construction company for the cult that was basically like our Sea Org. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like they do the canning, but we had something called processing where the ministers and people would sit around, and when it was your case was up, and they would just fucking dive into you. And everyone was shit-faced drunk, and it was fucking mean, and it was fucking brutal, and it caused some fucking serious, like, emotional scarring, just trauma across the fucking board. The shit that was said to people, some of the meanest shit. That's why it's like, you can say whatever the fuck you want to me. It's like, I've already heard the meanest shit in the world. You know what I mean? Like,
I grew up with that.
I grew up hearing...
That was your fucking Cheerios.
I grew up hearing the most terrible shit in the world, not only about myself, but about my parents.
Everybody.
About my friends, about my friends' parents.
Did they ever shit on the other cult leaders? Like, did one cult leader ever shit on the other?
No, they were married.
So they would just pass shit down. They were always infallible.
No, shit rolled downhill.
Yeah.
The shit literally rolls downhill. It's absolutely 100%.
That's what you have to set up to keep that right.
And there was 100% in a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like, our family was a little bit higher up on the hierarchy because my grandfather had a little bit more money than somebody else's grandfather that my parents could call and pull on. And then I got married into the family. I married the granddaughter of the cult leaders, and so I moved up a little more. And I didn't know until later, until being out and talking to some other people, like, the information I had about other people was much higher than everybody else because, like, I was, like, friendly with some of the ministers, and, like, they would just tell me shit about people. And I just knew all this shit about people. Like, think of your worst fucking secrets, the most terrible, just, like, whatever it is.
Everybody here has heard of
the most. No, I'm just saying, no, I know. But I'm just saying, like, the most embarrassing thing, it's like, I know that about you.
Right.
And, like, at any moment, I could use it against you if it's so pleased. Like, I was not a fucking great person. I was a manipulative person.
I mean,
let's
not say was.
No, you're just a different kind of piece of shit
just
now.
An asshole.
Oh no, I'm
still an asshole.
I'm still an asshole.
Something that I saw that was there's a documentary on HBO right now called Believer that is about the guy that is the lead singer of Imagine Dragons.
Oh,
what?
I haven't seen that. What's that
with
one?
that?
So he's Mormon.
Break this down right now. Oh, he is?
Yeah.
And
So
he's big on that anti-smoking campaign too.
Something. Well, so here's the sad thing, because this is the sad thing is when you see people on the verge of realizing it, and they just they just ignore that last step,
Right.
And before I shit on this dude, he is a very kind and generous person. It's obvious during the documentary.
You know what though? They always are. So,
but I mean, he's a fucking idiot.
Right.
He is a great, generous piece of person. So
this dummy.
Essentially, you go into ever since the Mormon Church took a hard stand against gays and lesbians.
Yeah.
The suicide rate amongst young people in the Mormon communities has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
You look up the numbers. I don't know what they are.
I don't doubt that at all.
I believe that.
But they've skyrocketed. So, it's basically telling a story about how he was a Mormon, went on a mission, met this girl. fell in love with her, and they wanted to be married, but she wasn't Mormon. So basically, he was like, I can't marry you if you're not Mormon.
Right.
So she begins the process of going into the Mormon church, but her best friends are lesbians. And they're like, how can you do this? How can you go into the church? It's like, oh, well, I love this man, and I have to go through, and
he's got a record deal.
And he was poor at the time, but it was coming up. Yeah, but he's like, I think I can get a lot of money out of this deal.
Talented.
So, anyways, she does it. She goes into the church and leaves her friends behind, and then he starts talking about how Mormons treat gays in the Mormon community.
What do you say?
Just that, that it's terrible what they do to them. That kids all the time. That's the other thing, is that Mormons write him all the time and are like, I think about killing myself. I don't want to live anymore because I have these thoughts. I know you don't speak out against it, and I respect that. But just let you know, your music means a whole lot to me, and sometimes like I listen to one of your songs, and that's the day I don't kill myself.
Yeah.
Damn.
Just stuff like that. Just like, I can put on one of your songs and I can go another day.
Jesus.
And he's just like, I can't believe that, the church is doing this. So the lead singer from Neon Trees is also Mormon, and he's gay. So he had gone through the whole thing recently. The Mormon church came out a couple years ago and said that you could be gay. It's fine, but you can't have...
No butt stuff.
Yeah, you can't have sex. You can't act on being gay.
No boofing.
And you can have kids, but you are not going to get into heaven. And if your kids are eligible to get in heaven, at 18, they will have to denounce you. They'll have to stand before the church, say that we're they're not with us. We're with the church. We're going up. They're staying here. Right. So he basically does a concert, a music festival, to support LGBTQ rights in the Mormon community, and sells the thing out. He gets a blessing from the church, sells the thing out. Then the next week the church comes out and doubles back down on it. They're like, yep, can't be gay. We gotta, as the world changes, we can't.
He's just like, listen, I made you all this money.
But the whole time the guy is like, he's like, oh well, but this is a church I love, so I guess I'll just go ahead and fight it.
Do you really love Jesus Christ?
Here's the thing. Like that I can see your point where it's like that's so fucking terrible and it's so twisted at that same time. But man, when you've been there your whole fucking life.
Oh yeah, they got you.
And all the hooks they have in you, and even when you see it, you feel bad for seeing it. Yeah. You feel bad. You like there's so many times. There's so many times where I was looking at everything and I was like, this is really fucked up. Like, I don't think this is right. But I can't say anything about it, because if I say something about it, I'm just going to get so much shit for it. And it's going to be so painful, and my life's going to be so hard. But it's just, I mean, now the difference is, I mean, in your cult, were you kind of secluded geographically? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this fucking guy tours the world.
Yeah, no, you got that too. Listen, he's a fucking rock star.
If you were way out, I mean, like the polygamist cults and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when they throw the young boys out of those and
like
basically
Colorado
just take them up to the dirt road and was like,
bye.
Figure it out, kid.
Yep. Deuces.
So then you drive this kid into Denver and you're like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, this dude tours the world and he knows this.
Yeah.
It really is kind of. And the other thing that they brought up, which is my favorite thing
It's
called
Believer. Right?
Believer. My favorite thing about the Mormon Church used to not let black people in.
Yeah, you don't get your own planet. That's for sure.
Yeah, you don't get your own planet.
Black people are not allowed to be Mormon?
They weren't until 1979.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and they still don't get their own place in heaven.
So here's what happened.
So they have to go in somebody else's court? Do they have to go into like a smaller house in the back?
Well, so what happened is God came to the apostles.
Yeah.
And
in 1972?
In 1979.
1979 he came back.
Okay, I might have the year wrong, but the important part is it was during Jimmy Carter's administration. Okay, so God came to the apostles and told them that it was time to start letting black people in the church.
Oh, God.
Also...
The apostles are like elders of the Mormon church.
Yeah, right.
Also, incidentally, right when God decided to
Jimmy
talk
Carter
to
Mormon?
the apostles... No. But Jimmy Carter went ahead and looked into the fact that their excluding of blacks in their church violated civil rights. And if they were going to violate civil rights, they were no longer going to be a tax-exempt church with the United States of America.
That whole tax break, man. Fuck.
And just all of a sudden,
Death
once
and
Jimmy
taxes.
Carter got ahead and said, hey, you know what? We think we're going to pull that tax exemption if you don't let people. Then the skies parted and God came down and told the apostles, it's wrong what you're doing. We need to let the black folks into the church.
Fuck.
So eventually what's going to happen is, I mean, we see it moving every single day.
Yeah, that's what it'll do.
That's what'll happen. Is
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
eventually,
Well, I mean,
I
it's
don't know
just-
that it'll happen in our lifetimes.
It will. I think it will.
No.
Like,
I don't
with the-
think
I don't-
It's got to happen in the next 5 years. or
with the
else there's not
discrimination,
much
like the
hope.
church thing, or not the church, the cake thing. Remember when the cake thing was a big deal?
Yeah.
Where the guy wouldn't, the fucking business owner wouldn't make a cake
That's
for a
like
gay
every
couple.
day, isn't that every day? I feel like
But,
I feel like I hear that story. Like
eventually there'll be, laws against discriminating like that, and
I don't know that it's going to be such. I mean, I don't know. I swore when I was
think
probably
we'll
about
get a
18.
ga-
I
think
swore
we'll
on
get a
two
gay
things.
president before I think we get a female president at this point.
I don't know about that. I'll put money on that. As long as you and I live, well, they'll put a woman in before they put somebody that's
Think so?
homosexual.
I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. It's. I mean, I used to say all the time, like I will never live to see two things: gays get married and a black president. I swore up and down that I
You're
would never
on
see
borrowed
that.
time now, dog.
Yeah, but having said that, and been wrong about it, I will also double down on
this and be
on
wrong
the
about
gay
it.
thing, and I'm like, I just don't.
I would like to see that.
Well, I mean, just the way, we're still making the Supreme Court conservative.
Yeah.
We're looking at locking that down for another 20 years at this point.
What if he
I
just
think
goes
they're
all
gonna
crazy and puts like an idiot in there?
I think they'll just fight it on religious grounds for just years. But and that's the thing is that I talked about I had a talk because that's is when people like when my friends would argue about gay rights.
Yeah.
Like to me. Like when they would argue with religious people, I always thought of it's a losing battle.
Yeah,
Right.
why are you fighting with this?
Yeah,
idiot?
it's not a religious thing; it's a human rights thing.
They're obviously not a rational person. They believe in ghost stories essentially.
Well, it totally changes their logic. They have a
yeah.
factor in play that you don't have any play.
Right. So if you take that aside, you're like, yeah, that's fine. But the
Right.
point is that if you're dating a girl at Hooters. And I'm dating a guy at Quick Trip, and you can give her your health insurance, I should be able to give the guy I'm dating my health insurance.
Yeah.
Like that has nothing to do with your
No,
religion.
it-
It's just human rights.
It is.
We're both people, and that's the way it should be.
It really
but as
is.
you started, doing things like, which, and that's, and the gay religious people. God.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts.
They're a weird
shocking
bunch
to me.
They're
most
a
of the
real
time.
weird
Gene Moore.
bunch.
I love Gene Moore to death.
Yeah.
But it fascinates me that he is still.
He goes to church, huh?
He doesn't go to church, but I mean, he's still devoutly religious, personally.
I mean, that's not. But I mean, don't you got to go to church?
The other thing
He
is
just believes
he's-
in God. He believes in
the other
Jesus.
thing is he's Catholic, which
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. I'm Catholic and I'm not an atheist, but I'm agnostic, just because I can't let go.
yeah. But
Like,
okay,
it-
so
you
now
know,
I'm going
it's
to chew
like-
your ass about this. So here's the deal with being Catholic: is that you have a pope,
Yep.
and pope to you is God. No, I'm not. No,
Not to me.
No,
but
then you're
other
not
Catholics.
Catholic.
Other
Then you're not
Catholics,
Catholic.
The Pope is God.
Not
yes.
other Catholics. You're not Catholic.
I
I'm
mean,
telling you.
I'm not Catholic.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
You
You're
can be
not
raised
Catholic.
Catholic.
I was
You're
raised
not fucking
Catholic,
Catholic.
but
Yeah,
I'm
I was baptized Catholic. I'm
Yeah.
not Catholic.
No, I don't believe.
If
the
you
Pope-
disagree with anything that the Pope says, you're not Catholic.
yeah.
Which that's the other. You got to bring people in. Like, well, if this dude says that homosexuality is wrong, and you obviously know that it's not.
What about Benedict's? Was it Benedict or what's the new Pope's name now?
Whatever.
It's
Whatever.
not Benedict anymore because I think.
Well,
I think-
I mean, that's the thing is that when he got in, everybody thought he was wildly progressive, and then he hit a speed bump with that, and it's like,
Yeah.
man, we're not really going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's reel this back in. It's kind of, which it would have been. That's all he has to do if he comes out and says it. That's a game changer immediately.
Oh,
All
yeah.
he
The
has to
Catholics-
do,
the Catholics get all the money after that.
yeah, all he has to do is come out and says, you know what, it's okay.
All that
You'll
gay
get
money.
in. It's fine.
It's insane if you think about the world being controlled by religious fucking people.
Still is.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I
It
know.
absolutely it is. It's insane that you think about it because it's like they're operating from a basis of
I feel like we need like
my fucking ghost said this, and
Yeah.
my fucking ghost said this, and my fucking ghost said that. And it's like, well, like, just don't hurt people.
Are we
Like,
ever gonna get to a
whatever
point-
happened to like we're just not gonna hurt each other. We're all gonna try to be better and have a good life and just not hurt each other while we're doing
Let
it.
me ask you about this. Are we ever going to get to a point that we outlaw religion?
Not anytime fucking soon.
No.
I mean, Mormonism's fucking 200 years old, if that. You know, it's like they're going to keep fucking making new ones. Scientology's 50 years
Yeah.
old,
Yep.
40 years old.
50.
And I
know?
mean, if you look at how asinine that is, that somebody would
Well, look at how
believe
like
it.
there have been fads too, and like there was all the fads. Like that's how kind of Matt's cult started
Oh,
was
yeah.
from a fad from
The channelers, the
channel-
mediums,
the
and
the Swamis or whatever. You had you had
there was
the
the
fucking Swami
Swami
guy.
invasion from fucking India that happened in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
There's a
Like,
ton of people that like fucking communed up like in the Pacific Northwest and Upper California and just everywhere.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that, I mean, even when you see these documentaries about these kind of smaller, it's just that, it's that want to belong.
yeah, there's
You
this
know.
there's this crazy search that people go on in some 30s in their mid 30s. They go on and it's pretty easy to tailor a program to them that's going to sell them and keep them around for a while.
There was a thing on the
That's
dude.
what comedy is right now for me.
Well, there was a
This is
thing.
my chosen cult of personality. You know.
I watched or listened to on ESPN their podcast. They had like a 5-part series about the dude that invented Bikram yoga.
Oh yeah, that guy's a
yeah,
real
yeah.
fucking creep.
He's a piece of shit.
Real creep.
But I mean, he essentially created a cult out of very intelligent people.
He absolutely
Yeah.
did. That was 100% cool.
And I mean, people when they talk about breaking from his business,
he just
his business model, like it's like deprogramming.
Yeah.
It's like, what happens if I take this guy's name off of my building?
Yeah.
Am I not a yoga building anymore?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
you are, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
People are gonna show up and work out. Like this dude isn't you.
He I think he got like charged finally, and like I don't know if they sentenced him, but he got charged for like being a toucher. He's
Over
a-
being
No.
a toucher?
He's a
They-
toucher. Well,
yeah,
I'm
no,
assuming
he
they would
had-
get him for money laundering and shit like that.
Well,
That's always-
I'm sure there was a bit of no.
Well,
too.
there was a woman that won a judgment against him for like $5 million, and then he just dipped, and he had like basically his wife was like 20 years his junior, and she's like his business partner, and like he hid all the money with her and something. He never paid this chick, and now he just kind of dips around. But there are rape charges out on him too. He can't be in the United States.
He's
or
a real
don't get-
shit. He's a real shitbag.
and that it's like the listening to one of the girls that he sexually assaulted, just that whole thing of like, I loved his yoga, it changed my life, it did great things to me, and all of a sudden this dude that's done all these amazing things to me, has done all this great stuff to me, it's like, hey, come up to my room, let's hang out.
Yep.
And it was just the coolest thing that anybody had ever done to me, and it's like, hey, why don't you rub my feet a little bit? It's like, to service this guy that, that has worked so hard to give me this. It's nothing but, I just love, it'd be a pleasure to rub your feet. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, you can't leave the room now. And it's like, oh, well, what, then that fucked them up so bad. And then she is kind of like, she talked about how like the next morning she's like, I don't know how to tell you this, but, he assaulted me last night. And then all of the other people that are working there, mostly women, are like, yeah, that happens. Just don't go up to his room anymore. It's kind of, somebody should have told you about that. He gets a little, just
What?
tomorrow, just don't. Stay in groups.
Oh my god.
And it's like, what, you people, knew about this? Like, yeah, it happens.
Well, I mean, that's like fucking Paterno or You know, like any of that shit. People, you always know if there's a predator around you. Like, think about it. Think about like if you ever been around a predatory person, you just know there's something fucking off about them. You get a feeling from that human, and you're just like, you got some fucking weird soullessness in your eyes right now, and you know what I mean? Like
they're, when they're in the Phoenix comedies, about probably like 2-3 years ago or something, there was a dude that was accused of rape. I think he did it.
That's the dude at Boog's funeral, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like one of the guys died.
Yeah.
And then another dude like supposedly raped a girl at his wake.
Jesus.
Or like after.
Well, it was a party afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was clearing out. He kind of wouldn't leave. But, I've seen behavior before.
Yeah.
That now, do we know that he did it? Would it surprise me? No. Because I've heard stories of just,
hear stories
people that I
about it,
know. And it's... So, yes.
Once
I mean, I have never
hear-
been astounded. Like, it's never blown my mind.
Never been like, oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah. Like, I've known one other pedophile in my life that was a friend of my dad's.
Oh yeah,
And
I think you told me about.
Yeah,
that.
he was a piece of shit. Like, it didn't surprise me. He just got himself in a position where he had moved to an island, like I don't know, it was like Thailand or something like that. But he had moved to an island where it was socially acceptable for you to be with younger women. And just as soon as that window opened up, he took it.
Ugh.
And he was basically, he came to my aunt's house, and I had my niece was young at the time, whatever, 12, 13, or something like that. And he told my aunt, he was like, yeah, she's about my wife's age. And
Are you fucking serious?
yeah, so this is on Maui. So this is on Maui, and my uncle is native.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know much about these people, but they're fucking insane.
Oh yeah.
And she was literally like
killer insane.
yeah.
Like
Dude's name was Larry. He's dead now. He died of AIDS somewhere on an island.
Larry.
Yeah, which good for him. They found him like face down in a fucking toilet, which is better than what he deserved. But like my aunt was like literally, you need to leave now, Larry, or somebody's going to kill you. Like if Chucky hears you say that, you will not leave this place alive.
They'd have murdered him. They'd have thrown him in the hole that they cooked a pig in earlier and, buried it.
He mellowed out, but yeah, I was like...
Sweet fucking Christ.
Yeah, that was one of the last great fights that me and my dad had before he passed.
It was about Larry?
Yeah, because he was over at the house. I'm like, what the fuck did you let him in this house?
Yeah.
Because he was a piece of shit. Like, Larry is one of those people... Like, you ever, like, when you're a kid, like... There's somebody that does something to you, and at that point, you can't whip their ass, but like
you
put
just
it,
got it always there. Always got it there. Like fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was over at this dude's house or his apartment, and I went swimming, and he gave me some trunks to swim in. Now I was a kid, so I'm kind of stupid. So in retrospect, what I should have done is swam in his trunks, and then changed back into mine.
Right.
But I didn't. I swam in my trunks. I changed into his. And he's like, well, "What about my trunks?" I'm like, "Well, I'm going to wear them home." It's like, "Well, you can't do that." So my dad's like, it's cool, whatever. So probably about I think before this, I had a comic book that Larry borrowed, right? Okay. So, so the comic book happened first. So comic book, I loaned Larry the comic book, then I used his shorts. So I went back over to Larry's house, I didn't have his shorts. So I'm like, hey, can I get my comic book back? And Larry's like, well, where are my shorts? I'm like, they're at the house. It's like, well, when I get my shorts, you can get your comic book. So I kind of look at my dad, and he was a pretty imposing dude at the time, and he's like, not helping me. It's like, I'm not going to throw my weight around on this one. I'm like, okay, whatever. So about a week later, Larry comes over to our house. He was like, hey, let me get my shorts. I'm like, where's my comic book? It's like, it's at my house. I'm like, well, you can have your shorts when I get my comic book. So then at that point, he's like, well, it's bullshit. Well, then at that point, my dad kind of loked up. And he was like, no, you know.
Hey,
This is the game you
play this
picked.
game, motherfucker.
You played the game.
Yeah.
when he gets his comic book, you can have your shirt.
Those that cast the first stone shall not.
So he used to have the fights at his house
whatever.
on pay-per-view back when like pay-per-view wasn't like click, like it was
Yeah.
kind of a pain in the
Yeah, it
ass.
was a pain. You had to
Yeah.
call a number.
Yeah, you had to call a number.
They had
and all
to,
that
you had
shit.
to have like a special fucking cable line
Right.
in your house.
So it was big thing that he had his fights,
Yeah.
and then he was like, I'm gonna have the fight this weekend. Kids aren't invited.
Oh, Larry, you piece of shit.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Fucking
so Larry was
dirtball.
a fucking piece of
Fuck
shit.
Larry.
Yeah, fuck him.
I
in his
take
ear.
back the rest in peace. I'm glad you're dead. You fuck.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't. No, this dude. Ugh.
If
I
you
wish he
got
would've-
flushed down a toilet, that'd be too good for you.
I wish he would have died fucking worse than he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I fucking hated Larry. Larry was a miserable fucking piece of shit. Of the list of people that I wish that I could kill and get away with,
Larry's tops.
yeah, the dude that stitched on my dad.
Number one.
Yeah, that's number one.
Just for respect for your pops, or like just
Yeah, just because he was a fucking piece of shit.
because you're a fucking
Yeah,
dirtball.
I mean, my dad wound up being a piece of shit later in life too.
Yeah.
But just for being a
they
snitch.
always do.
Yeah, just for
They
being a
always
snitch
do.
and a
I mean,
fucking
yours
worm.
went to prison. Mine had like 20 gigs of tranny porn.
All right.
You know. All right, yeah, we'll wrap it up. James Hoenscheidt, do you have anything to plug coming up? Well, this will be out like next week, so any plugs you want to do?
We're getting ready to launch our podcast. Is it dark in here?
Oh, I love that. I've listened to a couple beta
Oh yeah.
casts because Nolan sent it to me and he was like, "Hey, I want you to check this out."
Yeah.
So Nolan's really excited about it. I liked it a lot.
Oh, you did?
I did. It's fun.
Cool. So yeah,
That'll be cool. That'll be cool. Check that out. James
August,
Hoenscheidt
probably.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
On Facebook. Do you have Instagram?
yeah. J Hoenscheidt, Hoenscheidt. It'll be on the thing. So
It
hey,
will
don't
be.
misspell my name, motherfucker.
I love that you fucking use your name, and I won't misspell it. I will copy and paste directly from your Facebook.
I'm gonna go back in and misspell it.
Yeah.
Just
he doesn't
And
have
reverse
to
the
make it
E in
seem
the
like-
I.
yeah.
That's the most popular way
He
to do
doesn't
it.
have an excess. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
He doesn't pay the bills on it.
I don't have any of the producers.
He has none of the producer credits. People are talking about producer credits. They're good things these days. Actually,
what I hear.
Yeah, they're important to have. So I'm just saying, maybe you should pick up and fucking pull some weight.
Maybe you should suck my dick, Bill.
It would if it wasn't so little.
Fuck off. Thanks for coming, James. This
We
was a
love
lot
it,
of fun.
James.
This
No,
was
it's
a
been
good
a lot
time.
of fun. Let's do it some other time where I
for
have
sure.
a little bit of more time.
Oh no, this.
I
got to
go see Ant-Man and Wasp.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, my
that's-
kid's been in Australia for 2 weeks. So
Get
I
the
missed
fuck
it,
out of
so-
here! What the hell is he doing in Australia?
We sent him on a trip to see the world.
Well, fuck you guys for
New
being
Zealand
good
and
parents.
Australia.
That's awesome.
Little
Straight
fucker.
up,
Yeah.
I hate you. Fucking be my dad. All right, James Hoenscheidt, we love you. Thank you, man.
Love you guys. Take
Later.
care.